the Voice of the People television.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We bring in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV. Voice.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
The hush behind hangar doors. Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
On Edge Dialogue, we bring you fresh ideas and conversations, shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
In a world where power shapes with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is ours.
Good afternoon and welcome to the African News on Voice of the People Television. I am Solomon Ofem. Before we begin the news, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Now, first on the news, 81-year-old Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni is poised to win a seventh term in office with an election scheduled for Thursday. The campaign period has been marred by violence and concerns about secession. Museveni, who has ruled Uganda since 1986, cites the country's relative peace and stability as reason for his re-election bid. His main challenger, 43-year-old pop star Bobby Wine, has galvanized young voters frustrated with unemployment and corruption. But analysts say Museveni's grip on power makes an upset unlikely. In the East African nation of 4 to 6 million people, Museveni has changed the constitution twice to remove age and term limits and is widely expected to extend his four-decade rule in the forthcoming election after a campaign clouded by questions about who might eventually succeed him. Edwin Sifuna, Secretary General of Kenya's Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, has failed to attend a key party meeting convened by Sierra Senator Oburu Oginga, sparking speculation about internal party rift. No official reason was given for Sifuna's absence, but political analysts suggest it may be linked to ongoing power struggles within the party. However, convener of the forum stated that Orange Party remains committed to internal consultation and will continue to listen to the views of all its members. Meanwhile, Mombasa County Governor Abdul Wahmad Sharif Nasir, who doubles as ODM Deputy Party Leader, has shared pictorial details of the various leaders arriving at the meeting, which is set to discuss key political and national issues. In his statement, Nasir emphasized ODM's commitment to unity, internal consultation, and principled leadership, stressing the importance of listening to party members and the Kenyan public as the party shapes its future direction. The move by Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of delivery and governance and government efficiency in the office of the President, Eliud Owalo, to declare his bid to run for the presidency in the 2027 general election has continued to attract mixed reactions. South North Member of Parliament, Millie Odiambo Mabuna, downplayed Owalo's presidential ambition. According to Millie's assessment, Owalo could be positioning himself as a kingpin of a smaller party and attempting to square it out with ODM party in the Nyanza region. She further argued that Owalo could be using his presidential ambition as a launching pad for the Siaya gubernatorial seat or the Rayenda parliamentary seat in 2027. It will be recalled that Owalo said in a speech at Obok Moniya Church headquarters on Sunday that he was ready to go for the country's top seat in 2027. The former ICT cabinet secretary cited his proven track record as a key factor in his decision to run for the presidency. Gabriel Quote Akok, a prominent lawyer and chairman of South Sudan's People's Progressive Party (PPP), announced Monday that he is suspending his political career. Citing the need to focus on his legal practice and amid what he described as a restrictive political environment. Speaking on Radio Tamazuj, Quote said his decision to step down from party leadership was driven by growing tension between his role as a senior lawyer and his political affiliation, which he said had begun to affect both his work and his clients. According to him, his work as a lawyer has been taken out of context and seen as a political especially when he handles notable cases against the government. He said the perception had created fear among clients, some of whom worried that hiring him could expose them to political consequences or brand them as affiliated with the opposition. In another development, South Sudan's Special Court on Monday barred the public and media from attending proceedings in the trial of suspended First Vice President Riek Machar and 7 co-accused, citing the need to protect prosecution witnesses. 6 of the 16 prosecution witnesses, all members of the South Sudan People's Defense Forces (SSPDF), has already testified without protective measures. The special court ruled that only judges, prosecutors, defense lawyers, and the accused will be allowed in the courtroom during Monday's session. The judges also ordered that the identities and contract details of witnesses not be disclosed, citing safety concerns. The decision followed a prosecution request after some witnesses allegedly faced threats and intimidation by relatives of the accused. Away from that report, Ghana's government paid $1.47 billion in 2025 to clear legacy energy sector debt, restoring a depleted World Bank guarantee and settling arrears with power producers, the West African nation's finance ministry said on Monday. Ghana's power sector has been grappling with widespread unpaid debt that have led to a sharp increase in outages. Last year's President John Dramani Mahama promised to reduce the $2.5 billion owed to independent power producers and gas suppliers. The ministry said the government had paid over $597 million to the World Bank, fully restoring the partial risk of guarantee for gas supplies from the offshore Cape 3 Point field. Egypt has signed a renewable energy agreement worth $1.8 billion with Norwegian developer Scatec and China's Sungrow State TV reported. The deals aim to boost Egypt's clean water, clean power generation and support its goal of sourcing 42% of electricity from renewables by 2030. The project includes Scatec's solar energy plant in Upper Egypt's Minya with a generation capacity of 1.7 gigawatts and battery storage systems totaling 4 gigawatt hours. Sungrow will establish a factory in the Suez Canal Economic Zone to manufacture energy storage batteries. Egypt's energy minister said that achieving the 2030 target hinges on securing more international support, adding that Egypt aims to position itself as a regional power center and explorer. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi expressed support for Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity in a phone call with his Somali counterpart on Sunday. Wang Yi opposed Somaliland's collusion with Taiwan authorities to seek independence, referring to Somalia's breakaway region. Somalia was initially part of Wang Yi's annual New Year tour of Africa, which includes Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Lesotho, but was postponed due to what China's foreign ministry called a schedule change. China's support for Somalis comes amid tension between Somalia and Somaliland, which declared independence in 1991 but lacks international recognition. Israel recently recognized Somaliland, drawing criticism from China and Somalia. Joining us to help analyze our news item is Darlington Gomo, a legal practitioner and a current affairs analyst. Barrister Darlington, thank you very much for joining us on African News.
Afternoon, Solo. How are you doing?
Very fine, thanks for asking. Let's go to the first topic for discussion, where 81-year-old Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni is poised to win a 7th term in office. We've talked about it several times, so the problem with African leadership, a lack of leadership, and a situation where leadership want to be born and die in their position. This is one of several cases. And another huge case is Cameroon, where the president there is 92. This time, this is 81-year-old. This will be his 7th term in office. What's your take on that?
My take is that I am not surprised. Most African leaders are like that, especially if you have allowed them first, second, and third term. The likelihood is that they want to go 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is what you get. And they claim that in democracy, from all intent and purpose, this is not democracy. Even American presidents, as powerful as they are, they can't try this, they can't do this. You see, I call them local champions because of this type of behavior. That's what they are good at. While the world is out there making inroad, discovering things, making inroads in science and technology. Our own local champions are here, dominating the political space, contributing nothing. Just sit down here and wasting people's resources. So I am not surprised. Let him say, in fact, after this time, let him remain there again until he gets to the age of Fobia. Let them continue to be constituting a nuisance in their state. And you do know one thing, by this thing they are doing, they are not just sitting there, they are strangulating the They are strangulating them, making it impossible for the opposition to exist. And you call it democracy.
And he's changed the constitution twice to take off age limits for the presidency.
Just to remain in office. So you can see the problem of Africa. I keep saying it, there is a place African leaders used to go for tutorial. That is why majority of them are behaving like that. I'm telling you. It's very common with African leaders. I don't know why. Meanwhile, they will go to the Western world and see how things are working. Leaders who can tell living power, they resign on their own. Go and sit down in their house and, where they value integrity and their respect. But here in Africa, even when somebody is now constituting a nuisance, when somebody have overstayed his welcome in office, he will still stay there. Doling out some, crumbs from the table for his cronies, who will now support him, both from the military and civilian populace. All of them will surround him, protecting him, giving him support, just for being a nuisance in office. You can imagine. This is very serious.
And these are the reasons why we continue to see coup and unconstitutional takeover in the continent. Because the democracy we practice here in Africa is akin to an authoritarian regime.
Of course. And when you have such a regime, you are just calling for coup. It's as simple as that. Because nature abhors a vacuum. By making it impossible for peaceful change, then violent change is definitely inevitable. That's just the truth. I ask this question again. What will happen if you just serve your 1 term or 2 term and leave office? What will happen? But you just want to remain there, destroying everything inside, including opposition, at times killing them, running them out of your country just to remain in power. Is that what you call democracy? It's unfortunate. You see this AU, a time will come when nobody will listen to them. Because they are supposed to call these African leaders to order, say, look, why are you changing constitution to remain in power? All this nonsense about sovereignty and sovereignty of states, you can see that gradually it is becoming nonsense. Nobody is listening to it again. With what Donald Trump did in Nigeria, the sovereignty of states is no longer a barrier. Somebody is committing atrocity in his country, and you are seeing it, you are hearing it, and you say you cannot interfere because of sovereignty of state. Are you serious? Don't worry, when revolution or military coup comes, you will interfere by force.
Now, people have said several times that the worst of democracy is better than the best of military. But that narrative is beginning to change, where some people are saying, well, if you want to see the worst of democracy, come to Africa.
Exactly.
But do you agree with that statement?
That statement was before, not now. It was before, not now, when we had democracy, yes. If you look at the democracy of the First and Second Republic, that's when this theory is applicable. But today, with what we are seeing in some military regime in West Africa, that people are even celebrating and welcoming them and clapping for them, you will know that that statement is no longer applicable. You know, every mantra has to do with time and environment. Time and environment will indicate which theory will last for a while. But that theory that the worst civilian regime is better than the best military regime, it is all lie. Most of the things we have done in this country today, Solomon, was done by the military. Ordinary state creation, they can't create a state under the civilian administration. The 36 states were created by the military. Are you aware? Yes. They were created by the military. Most of the infrastructural this was done by the military. All the bridge and the roads you see in Lagos here, was it not under military regime when Lagos was the federal capital? So what is anybody telling me?
Okay, also joining us to help analyze these is a virtual guest from Kenya. To help analyze the African news is Martin Ireri Enjoy, public affairs analyst and financial advisor. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Enjoy. Now, what's your take on this story of the 81-year-old Museveni trying to continue his, presidency as far as Kenya is concerned? He's changed the constitution twice to remove an age limit. In Uganda, beg your pardon, not Kenya, he's changed the constitution twice. He's stifled opposition, all in a bid to grab on to power. And this is a recurring decimal as far as African leadership is concerned. What's your take on that?
Thank you, sir. To start with is that democracy in Africa has been held, I can say, in a prison, whereby during the colonial era, and when the Africa started gaining the independence, we thought that we have seen the light of the day. But after the colonial exited the stage, we entered into our own black colonial system that I call it state capture. State capture is whereby a government has taken the institution, and the institution cannot run independent. It means that institutions are the voice of the state. Hence, you find that people's will is not respected. You find even when we go into election, there is no the sanctity of our vote doesn't count. So it means that we entered into a system of state capture, whereby it's beneficial or leadership that is having their personal interest. Now, democracy cannot run where the sanctity of our vote doesn't count. You find we go into 5 years election, and you find it is done just for formality to say that we have democracy. I can see what is happening in Uganda. It happens to Tanzania the other day. And that's why you find it is very hard in Africa to remove the incumbent from the office. Because of this, we call state capture. You find electoral bonding is in the side of the state, meaning that the independence has not yet gained its center power. So in this case, we see that Uganda is entering into an era whereby the president who has ruled for 40 years, he is still the man to be in the office because he has taken captive all the institutions, and anyone that counter him, he may suffer consequence. He can be held in a community candle, he can be kidnapped, and all sort of consequence when you are not obeying the voice of the state. So we are seeing the country that is in a state of quagmire. A country that cannot develop. Health system is not working for the common man. You find economy whereby you find tax. People are overwhelmed by hefty tax. You find corruption. People are squandering public funds. They are stealing in an industrial case. So we are in Africa whereby we are like in the state of colonial era, whereby there is no what we call public opinion. And if there is public opinion, it is ignored because sanctity of our vote doesn't count because these independent institutions are collaborating with the state.
Now, what's happening in Uganda is synonymous with what's happening in so many other countries in Africa. Cameroon is another place. And one begin to ask the question,
what is happening in Uganda is, yes, what is happening in Uganda is what is happening in more than 40 countries across the Africa continent. And secondly, you find like now here.
Go on.
Yes. You find the constitution, like now, for instance, the constitution we have here in Kenya, we have inherited a United States Constitution. That the constitution is perfect, but you find the acts in that constitution are not functioning to the benefit of the common man. You find those acts are being amended day and day on to suit the current regime. When a regime enters, it amends the act that will be of their interest, not for the interest of the common man. So what I say, Uganda, the president changing the constitution of term limit, that means that he has taken country captive and he has taken the country as his own asset, which he is serving for his own interest, but not the interest of the common man. So it means that these people are in the dark era of colonialism. Even if they gained independence, they entered into a system of their own rule, which is not beneficial to the democracy, which is not giving right to the sanctity of the vote, which is not giving power to the public opinion, that is not giving power to what we call institution independence. Because when the institution is independent, the rule of law takes its course. And if a president violates these acts of the constitution or violates the policy of an institution, when he exits the stage, he faces the consequence.
But this also raises the question. How do we solve a problem of an unconstitutional takeover or coup d'etat with situations like this, where we have our African leaders destroying and weakening our institution? This gives advantage for unconstitutional takeover, one would say.
Thank you. I think that the coup d'etat, now that's where you see that now this what we call capture of institution. When there is capturing of institution, you find the coup d'etat will be a bit stiff. And the ends, if you compare the self-rule governments and the military rule, you find better their military rule. Because you can see countries like Burkina Faso, they are awakening their economy system, health system, education system. So you find even coup d'etat in this self-rule government, it's very hard because institutions are the mouthpiece of the state.
Now, another question back to the studio, where one one begin to ask, where is the regional bodies? Where is the African bodies in all of this? Surely this is why these bodies were formed. You have the African Union, the AU, and then of course you have the other regional bodies, the West African bodies, you have the Southern Africa, you have the Eastern Africa. All these bodies, this is where they should put a stop to situations like this, that if they really want to stop this unconstitutional takeover, instead of just being a redundant bodies.
Two things are hindering them. One, the sovereignty of states, non-interference in internal affairs of every state. Then two, they don't have...
Surely they should have exceptions for stuff like this.
No, there is no exception. As long as internal affair, nobody, you are not it is the people that will complain, not
but then you get to see interference when there's now a military takeover. A typical example is what happened in Benin Republic.
That's what I'm telling you. Yes, when there is such a thing, because you have that principle that there should be no military takeover in Africa. It's part of their charter, and it's domesticated in all the states. But when a push come to shove, that particular clause is thrown overboard, and then AU becomes powerless. Then two, AU is just on paper. All these regional bodies, they are just on paper because they don't have a military force of their own to enforce their decisions on states. So these two major principles is hindering them from doing anything. That's just the truth. And then states have taken advantage of it that nobody will disturb them, and so they are now running roughshod over their people. That's the truth. Before now, I have always believed that this sovereignty of state will be tinkered with. I have said it on this platform sometime last year, that if the level of arrogance I'm seeing continues, people may not care about this, your sovereignty of states. They will come in to arrest a bad situation before it gets out of hand.
Back to you, Mr. Njue. Don't you think these regional bodies need restructuring and probably have like a clause in this constitution binding with all countries in Africa, so that the leaders of these countries meet certain rules in the leadership of their people, and if those rules are not met, these regional bodies have some sort of power to be able to intervene. Can you hear me, Mr. Njue?
Yes, I think to go on, let's revert to what we call Africa Union, AU.
Okay.
Structuring is a fundamental key in fostering the continent policies. You find whereby AU is again an institution that is biased. We had the recent election from Tanzania, whereby the world knows what transpired, what happens, public opinion, the citizen from the Tanzania. You can see a lot of hidden and the kind of game that was rumbling or happening in Tanzania. And you find the same other morning after the president was announced, the AU president was congratulating Tanzanian president, whereby you find these region institutions are still biased and they are not serving the common man. They are there to serve their personal gain. Because AU is a very powerful body that mandates not only continental policies, it mandates even international policies and in diplomatic avenues for the benefit of Africa. But you find if a head of state in the continent of Africa violates the constitution, violates the law of human being, they are covering him, whereas they soon confront him. So we need institutions being structured so that the rule of law and international law can have its way on the stage.
Okay, back to the studio, Barrister Aguamo. Reactions have continued to trail the Somalia and Somaliland dispute, and China have come in support of Somalia as against the support from Israel. And obviously, they've reacted to it, supporting Somaliland, as I said. Obviously, this thing is not going away. Israel are intent to continue with the Somaliland push, with the rumor that the intention of that is to transfer Palestinian, indigents to Africa. And of course, Somaliland is a point of destination. What's your take on China's reaction to it?
All the powers that are now scrambling for the soul of Somaliland is for their selfish interests. Nothing else. Yes, they are going there to exploit the people because they are vulnerable. They are looking for somebody that will support them to gain independence. And so if these superpowers can be of help, why not? And so when they now settle down, they begin to colonize them. Because that's what we follow. Somaliland is like a barren land. They are going there to exploit them, to impose themselves on the people. It's unfortunate, and it has to be Africa anyway. It has to be Africa. That's just the simple truth. It has to be Africa.
What's your take on that, Mr. Njoy? Can you unmute your mic, please? Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, okay. I can hear you.
Okay. So what's your take on the Somaliland and Somalia's issue? And of course, China having a say on that after the international mayhem that trailed Israel's recognition of Somaliland.
Yes, I think this issue has been the giant in the room, and it should be addressed amicably between the leaders of Somali and Somaliland. Secondly, the AU should mediate this issue so that the two difference between Somali and Somaliland can be resolved amicably. Secondly, I think there is what we call in political science consensualism. When consensualism is put in place, it brings the policies, it brings the merit of the leaders to form forging policies that are beneficial going to the future and for the politics and democracy of the future generation. Secondly, in terms of what we call resource sharing and distribution of resources. Secondly, still it makes one of the antagonism to suffer, because you find the Somaliland as more resource than Somali, or you find Somali as more resource than Somaliland. So you find if the two diversification are managed and the policy are managed still, and they come up with ongoing concern, it brings the right in the center of the issue.
Okay, this is where we end it. Thank you very much, Martin Ireri Njoy, for your contribution, talking to us from Kenya.
Thank you so much.
And of course, our guest in the studio, Darlington Agumo, a barrister, and that's a legal practitioner, and of course, a current affairs analyst. Thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
You're watching African News on Voice of the People TV. More stories when we return. Stay with us.
Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
If you're just tuning in, this is Voice of the People Television, and you're on to the African News. Sudan's military-led government has returned to Khartoum, the capital, after nearly 3 years of operating from Port Sudan, a situation prompted by the war in the country. The military was forced out by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) when civil war erupted between the two sides in 2023. Prime Minister Camille Idris announced the government's return, saying efforts will focus on improving services for residents. The move follows the military's recapture of Khartoum from the Rapid Support Forces (RSF) in March. The city has been recovering from years of conflict, with around 5 million people displaced, according to the UN. The government aims to restore basic services and stability in the war-torn city. Conflict-related sexual violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has escalated, while support to survivors has significantly dropped. Human Rights Watch and the Congolese women's rights organization Sofepadi said Monday. Human Rights Watch documented sexual violence by members of at least 5 non-state armed groups and the Congolese army in Eastern Congo. According to the rights group, expanded fighting in Ituri, North Kivu, and South Kivu provinces, as well as funding cuts and limited access to health services, have made it increasingly difficult for women and girls who survive sexual violence to get the holistic support they need. The group also said many clinics offering healthcare and other support have been forced to close. A Zimbabwean national, Mandla Mkube, has been named among those killed in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, raising fresh concerns over the recruitment of Southern Africans into the conflict on the promises of lucrative pay. Reports suggest and indicate that Mkube was recruited through an agent operating in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. His widow is believed to be residing in South Africa, although further details surrounding his deployment and death remain unclear. Analysts say the revelations point to an emerging pattern in which foreign nationals, including Zimbabweans living in South Africa, are being recruited, often through what has widely been described as informal or shadowy networks, to participate in the war. Many are reportedly motivated by economic hardship and the prospect of earning incomes far higher than those available at home or in the region. We go on another quick break, and the African News returns with business and sports news. Stay with us.
Is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Dialogue. We bring you fresh ideas and conversations, shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
Thanks for staying tuned to African News on Voice of the People television. Now to business, where the South African rand gained in early trade on Monday, helped by gold prices reaching another record high at 0736 GMT. The rand traded at 16.4225 against the dollar, roughly up 0.4% from its previous closing level. Soaring prices of precious metals, a major South African export, have helped to propel the rand to its strongest in more than 3 years. The currency ended 2025 nearly 13% stronger against the US dollar and is poised to clock another year of gains. Malaysian automaker Proton Holdings BHD is exploring partnerships, including dealerships and assembly, from a completely knocked down CKD kits to enter Algeria's growing car market. Proton's interest in the key North African market aligns with Algeria's policy of encouraging local vehicle production. Malaysian ambassador to Algeria, Datuk Rizani Irwan Muhammad Mazlan, told newsmen on Monday that Proton is looking for potential investment opportunities in manufacturing and in local partnerships. He disclosed that Proton's regional manager for North Africa from the company's international sales division recently visited Algeria to study potential business and investment opportunities in the automotive sector. And in sports, the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON has reached its penultimate stage, with Egypt, Senegal, Nigeria and host Morocco securing their places in the semi-finals. In Wednesday's matches, Egypt will take on Senegal in Tangier, while Morocco hosts Nigeria in Rabat. The Atlas Lions are seeking a first continental title in 50 years, while the Super Eagles aim to claim their fourth AFCON crown. The semi-finals promise to deliver thrilling encounters, with Egypt coming from behind to beat Côte d'Ivoire 3-2, Senegal ending Mali 1-0, edging Mali 1-0, Morocco defeating Cameroon 2-0, and Nigeria dispatching Algeria 2-0 in the quarterfinals of the tournament. In the meantime, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has launched an investigation into the violence incidents that followed Nigeria's 2-0 win over Algeria in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations quarterfinals in Marrakesh. The match, which saw Victor Osimhen and Akor Adams score in the second half, was marred by confrontations between Algerian players and match officials, as well as disturbances from Algerian fans in the stands. Algerian players allegedly tried to assault referee Issa Sai and his assistants, prompting stadium security to intervene. Fans also attempted to breach barriers and vandalized parts of the stadium. CAF is reviewing reports from referees, security personnel, and media representatives, and disciplinary measures are expected soon. The Algerian Football Federation also plans to file a petition with CAF citing questionable referee decisions and alleging that Nigerian players provoked their opponents. And that's all on Africa News. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Voice of the People TV and on other social media platforms at VOP TV Live. If you witness news happenings near you, we want to hear from you. Send your eyewitness report, event coverage requests, photos or videos directly via WhatsApp to 0814 606 4057. You can also reach our newsroom by email at news@vop.ng. I am Solomon of FM. Good afternoon and thank you for watching.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is Africa News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Bamakore, actor, model, producer, and I'm giving a big shout out to VOP TV, man. Keep watching. Don't change the dial. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from the Real Housewives of Lagos and the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people.